you yourself have to understand when you need to go to sleep, when to wake up, and not worry about, I suppose, other people's opinions on that. If that makes sense. If you wake up early, cool, you wake up early. If you wake up late, cool, you wake up late. But at the end of the day, as long as you get what you need to get done. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Welcome to the Red Print, your wellness podcast. Today we're going to be talking about sleeping well, including quick tips for relaxing your body and your mind.
Why it won't help you to obsess over sleeping well.
And how much sleep a giraffe needs.
Welcome to the Red Print, your wellness podcast.
Quick run through of my sleep life is that I had so I've mentioned before that I was very, very anxious growing up, and that then manifested in me not sleeping. Like I would just not sleep. I had loads of issues getting to sleep, and then I would just watch Lord of the Rings on repeat multiple times a night, and then I got obsessive, stressing out about being able to sleep. And then eventually I was able to sleep, but then I had all these beliefs around sleep that it had to be within a specific window of time. Like, and if I missed that window, I wasn't sleeping. And if things just weren't a certain way, if I didn't start getting ready to sleep at a specific exact time and do things in an exact specific way, I believed I wasn't going to sleep. So that's why I talk about being flexible around this, just because I know for myself that I've become too ritualistic with it before and like shot myself in the foot. But something that I had tried during that time as well was going to bed super early, because I was so scared of not sleeping. And I thought, I know the best thing then is just to go to bed really early. But then what can happen, I think, is that, or what happened for me, is I'd be sat in bed, or well, lying down for a long time with my thoughts, not sleeping. And then I'm associating being in my bed with not sleeping. So what I do now is I do sort of wait until I'm a little bit tired, and I don't go to bed too early, because for me, that's an issue. Again, you'll notice for other people, it might not be. Everyone's different. But for me, going to bed too early is like, can't do it.
We've had similar experiences for sure. I was traditional. I wouldn't consider myself now a good sleeper. I still have I would say I have a very complicated relationship with sleep. And as a youngster growing up, I was awful with sleeping and really panicking, and that lasted for a very, very long time. And interestingly, the only time that it started to get better, or the time that I started to be able to actually reflect and chill out a bit, really, just about sleeping, it was the night before my PhD viva. So for those that don't know, what that means is that you've spent 3 years writing a book essentially, and then you're going to sit down with two experts in the field, and they're going to quiz you on your book, and they're going to say, why did you write this? Well, how did you get to this? You know, it's the biggest thing. 3 years has been building up to this moment, so it's like it is a huge time. And obviously I was really worried about that, and the night before, I was staying in a hotel, because it was near the university. The night before, I get into bed, you know, normal kind of sleep routine. But I've been thinking that day, oh, what happens if I don't sleep? And you know, the time goes on, and you know that experience of you check. This was in a time where I used to like check my phone. What time is it? Oh God, 20 minutes has gone by. All right, well that means I've only got 6 hours and 40 minutes left to sleep. Okay, I better go to sleep now. Lie down. 2 minutes later. Oh God, I can't sleep. Right, I'm really panicking now. How much time's gone by? 15 minutes has gone. And it was just that constantly. And it was the first time that I have never slept at all during the whole night. I didn't sleep for a second. And that was a really important time for me, because the Viva went really well. And what it taught me is that I'm putting too much emphasis on this idea of sleep. And that's not saying, oh, I could just go without sleeping, you know, every night. But it's something that I was kind of fetishizing in this way of saying, well, I need this amount of sleep to in order to perform well, I need to have these things. And now when I can't sleep, now what I know that I have to do is just accept that I'm not going to be able to sleep. Fine, okay, I'm not going to be able to sleep. What's the worst that's going to happen? I've done it before, and it's not as bad as you think it's going to be. And as soon as you do that, that of course does relax your body, and then it means that you either go to sleep or at least you rest a little bit more. But that was a real watershed moment for me, the night that I didn't sleep at all and spent the entire night panicking. It's very, very, very interesting. It hasn't stopped me not sleeping, but it was definitely a moment of clarity.
I think firstly, we just need to take a moment to acknowledge that Neil said the word fetishizing. We just
Yes.
need to draw more attention to
I noticed as soon as I said that you were smiling. You look like a little balloon that had just been sort of.
Yeah, so great word there. But that's so funny because I'm exactly the same, and I felt exactly the same. And there's a branch of CBT which is related to insomnia and sleep, and interestingly, you're kind of doing that bit where you're thinking about the cycle and your relationship with sleep, and then you're kind of breaking the cycle. And that's what I did as well, like realizing, you know what, I'm obsessing about this and it's actually making it worse, but also questioning my belief, because I would go down this like brain spiral where I'd be like, right, I'm not going to sleep, I'm not going to learn anything, I'm going to fail every exam I ever do, I'm going to be a complete failure, I'm going to end up on the streets. Like my brain would just go down this spiral, like my life is over because I'm not sleeping tonight. And then, like you said, I was able to question those beliefs, and through evidence, I was able to look at the evidence, like, you know what, I didn't sleep and I was actually okay. And in the day, I didn't think about it too much. And then I was able to not worry about it too much. And it made it easier. And I think sleep can be kind of this elusive thing sometimes, that if you spend too much time focusing on it or trying to make it happen, that's when it kind of goes away, where sometimes you just need to ignore it and it'll be okay.
Interestingly, I find this constantly. So, knowing that we were going to do this today, I was reading up about sleep yesterday. I can guarantee every time that I do any reading about sleep, I won't sleep as well that night because I'm focusing too much on it. Like I'm then thinking too much. So last night I didn't sleep particularly well because I'd spent all this time yesterday looking into how to sleep and what should you do before you go to sleep and how should you do this and how to do. And it just, as opposed to just being like, I'm a bit tired, I'm going to go to bed, I'm going to do what I need to do before I go to bed, and then I'm going to go to sleep. And that's it. And in taking away the power from it and that worry, and it's this worry about something that you often don't, you're anticipating something that isn't going to happen. Same as any sort of those sorts of things.
That's it. Like both of you, like when you're fixated on this, I'm not going to get enough sleep, but when you let go of that, you feel way better, because then when the alarm goes off, you're fine. Like you're not fixated on this point of I'm not getting enough sleep. Like as you mentioned, there have probably been days where you've got hardly any sleep and you've been functioning perfectly fine. Like I think it's about finding, if possible, those past experiences when you have hardly any sleep and you've still been functioning fine. That doesn't mean rely on no sleep. That means it doesn't matter how much sleep you get, you'll be fine if you think you're going to be fine. Like it goes back to that checking your thoughts. Like what I think in a book, A Miracle Morning, it said set your intentions, but when you're going to sleep, like I'm going to wake up feeling refreshed, rejuvenated, re-energized. That's what I sometimes do when I know I've messed up my sleep pattern and I know I'm not going to get enough sleep. I just be like, yeah, cool, I'm going to wake up perfectly fine, I'll be all good, ready to go, and keep repeating that. And then through me telling myself I'm going to be damn amazing, pretty much, I feel better when I wake up, like rather than keep on checking my phone. Like that is, I think, as you mentioned, that's something very common when you keep on checking your phone. Like, okay, so this amount of time's passed, I only have X amount of hours to sleep. Instead of doing that, just stop going on your phone and just like let it be. Like when you get to sleep, you get to sleep. Don't try to make it so rigid, because you can't. If you can control your body and say, okay, go to sleep now, perfectly fine, do it. But if you can't, just let it be. Like do what you can before you get to bed to relax, unwind, and when you get into it, be like, cool.
Have you heard of the US military technique for going to sleep?
This sounds interesting. I want to hear.
Yeah, again, this only came up yesterday. It's a four stage technique, and I'm not going to tell you how many minutes you're meant to fall asleep in, because I'm going to ask you that question a little bit later. But it's basically for training people. I think it was for pilots originally, or for people who are in incredibly stressful situations. Obviously, the first thing that goes is going to be your sleep, because of stress and or external stimuli. And so the 4-stage step is for you to first relax everything every muscle in your face. So you're first kind of just focusing on really feeling every element relaxed. The second one is to relax your shoulders. Third one is to breathe in and out. And then the final one is to visualize, and they recommend 3 visualizations. One which is you're lying in a canoe and all you can see is blue sky above you. The second one, if that one doesn't work, is you're lying in a black velvet hammock in a dark room. And then the third one is, if you can't visualize, just repeat the phrase, "don't think," for 10 seconds. And it's really amazing, and it works. Well, actually, okay. This can segue then. That can be the first. I'm going to administer now a sleep quiz. For that technique, the US military technique, how long do you think they suggest it would take you to get to sleep in? I'm gonna pit you against each other in this sleep quiz. By the way, we've got 10 questions.
Okay.
10. Okay, Rachel, you go first. Okay?
7 minutes.
Okay.
4 minutes.
Okay, the point goes to Donish. It's actually 2 minutes. That's but for the follow-up question then, how long do you have to practice that for in order for it to become more effective, do they say?
Apologies.
2 weeks.
2 weeks, Rachel says.
4 months.
Okay, Rachel gets the point. It's 6 weeks, they suggest. So if you practice that for 6 weeks, that will start to help you get into the pattern of sleeping well. But yeah, their aim is that you get sleep in 2 minutes. Okay, so question number 3 then. How many hours a night does an adult need, or should an adult aim for?
7.5 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 to 8.
You both get a point for this. It's 7 to 9 hours according to the national. I think it's the National Sleep Association or National Sleep Foundation. Okay. And in the States, what percentage of people do you think get less than 7 hours every night, or report as getting less than 7 hours every night?
30.
60%.
Rachel Williams gets the point. It's 35% of people get less than 7 hours sleep a night. All right. How many hours sleep does a giraffe need?
I've read the same thing.
Have you?
And I know the answer. Danish, you want to guess? Because I think
This
I know the
is
answer.
called cheating, guys.
It's revision.
16.
Okay. Rachel
An hour
Williams.
and a half. An hour and a half.
That's what, yeah, 1.9 hours. 1.9 hours. How many hours sleep does a brown bat need?
Okay, I read this one, but I've forgotten it. But Danish, you want to go first?
I'm going to stick to, 16 hours.
Okay.
12.
Danish gets the point. It's 19 hours.
I still feel like this is rigged, guys. I'm not going to lie to you.
How much of a cat's life do they spend asleep?
Oh,
I read this one as well, but I can't remember it.
1/3 of their life.
2/3.
I feel like.
Point goes to Rachel Williams. It's 2/3.
No.
How much of their lives do humans spend asleep, Danish?
1/3.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Well done. Well done.
Thank
Very
you.
good. Very good. What's the percentage of the UK population that sleep in the fetal position?
I've read this one.
33%.
Very close. Very close. Rachel Williams.
Like 42.
41%. 41%. Very good. Very good. And the final question then: what is the longest time that anyone has ever spent awake? His name was Randy Gardner. It was in 1963. He was a college student.
There's a whole
120
Radio Lab episode about him as well, I think, pretty much.
over 100 hours. I don't know, 120 hours.
Definitely over 100 hours.
11 days. And you know that as an adult, so now he actually has issues with insomnia.
Oh, interesting.
His record paid off. No, like
I don't know. He really struggles with sleep now.
Well, at the end of the quiz, folks, I am delighted to tell you that Rachel Williams has pipped it only by 1 point. It is a 6-5.
Close.
No,
that was close. I'll get you in the next round, Rachel.
Yeah. A question I've got for everyone, because an issue that we haven't spoken about with sleep just yet is sleep and morality, because this is something that I think of a lot. And again, talking about myself, I've experienced in my life. How do you feel about sleep? Do you feel like, you know, sleeping is unproductive and something that you shouldn't do? Do you feel bad if you have a lie-in? How do you feel about it?
How far away? So
Are you a bit proud about not getting
a little bit of both, depending on the days. No, like there's some days where I know I shouldn't have a nap, but I have a nap. And then there are times where I'm like, cool, I can have a nap because, you know, I've got what I need to out the way. I'm on time, I'm on schedule. I can do whatever I like. I think for me, there's a very fine line. Like I delve between both of these lines at the end of the day. Like there's some days where I go to sleep and I'm like, okay, I have to wake up at X amount of time, no excuses. But then there's some days I'm like, I'm not setting an alarm. I'm just going to wake up whenever. And I think I'm trying to, it's very hard to, I suppose, put into words, but I feel like yes to the question of, I suppose, I don't even know where I'm going with this, guys.
I would say to an extent. Now, I think I see sleep as largely something that is productive rather than something that I just enjoy inherently, especially napping in the middle of the day. So the only time I will nap is if I feel so unproductive that I think I almost need to sort of like restart my day, and I find that a nap does that. So for me, I'm really productive in the mornings. So if I have a nap, I know that I get almost like a second morning because my brain is free from all of the other things that have been just sort of like collecting on it in the daytime. So I see napping as just highly tactical as a thing. I don't enjoy the process of napping. If I go to sleep, I feel like I've then wasted a couple of hours of the day. And I feel similarly with lions now. Actually, I would rather. I aim for around 8 hours. Obviously, you can never really tell, but I aim for around 8 hours, and that's it. Now, I do enjoy sleeping. I like the process of it. I like the feeling of going to sleep, but I definitely do feel like I can feel lazy very quickly if I sleep too much, or if I take too much of my life focused on sleep. It's a very good question though. How about you?
Yeah, well, it's something I think about because so most recently, I'm someone who wakes up early, naturally gets on with stuff early. And when we were going in to the office, I used to get up at 5 every day. Now it's a little bit later, maybe like 6:30, but I used to get up really early, and I got a lot of like social praise for that. Everyone's like, oh, you wake up early, that's amazing. I wish I could wake up early. But really, I'm awake for the same number of hours as anyone else. And I was going to bed early, but I feel like there's this like, people think, oh, you're a good person if you wake up early, and being an early bird is a good thing, and being someone who wakes up later or operates later is seen as a morally bad thing or less desirable thing, like you're lazy or something, even if you're up for the same amount of time. And I've talked about this before, but I lived in Canada for a bit, and when I was in Canada, I worked in Starbucks, and each week I worked every single hour of 24 hours. So I had 2 night shifts, 2 super early morning shifts that started at 5 a.m. and then and then 1 evening shift, which started at around 1. So each week I was doing that, and also doing overtime and just working constantly. Like I've mentioned, I was doing too much, but I was exhausted. But also, say if I did a night shift, I might be sleeping at, 11:30 in the morning, and I was out of sync with the rest of the world. But I felt like people, if someone contacted me at 11 and I was asleep, and I like contacted them later and, oh, sorry, I was asleep, people were like, oh my god, like, yes, what are you doing sleeping at this time? And and to be asleep at times when it's like socially acceptable to be awake, I felt like there's a lot of like judgment around that. And that's something we haven't spoken about either. But some of our students they're students, but they've also got jobs. Maybe working in a bar, or they're working as cleaners, which mean that you're working when other people might be asleep. But that's definitely something that I've felt, where I've just felt I'm being judged when I'm asleep during socially acceptable times when you should be asleep. But also I notice I get a lot of like social praise for being someone who's awake early now.
Burning the candle at both ends is seen to be a very, it's highly prized as, and it comes back to, it's the capitalist work ethic that does that. That it's the more you are awake, the more you are doing, the more productive you're being, the more you are achieving. Please, may I tell you my favorite ever fact about the phrase burning the candle at both ends?
Yeah.
What does that phrase mean? If I would say I'm burning the candle at both ends, like what is that? It means I'm working hard, right? It means that you're in a particular period. But where does that come from? What image does that conjure up for you, burning the candle at both ends?
For me, it just means there's going to be nothing left of you.
But what does the imagery mean to you? So what do you see when I say burning the candle at both ends? If I was going to draw that, what would it be?
Just be like, so I know candles are upright,
Yeah.
I was imagining it horizontal, and then it was just slowly getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller.
So you're giving yourself more light essentially by having it lit at both ends.
However, it will be a detriment to yourself through that.
Okay.
Because it can only last for so long.
Where the phrase comes from is that it means that you are, so it would have come from when, pre-electricity, when you would need to burn a candle in order to, if it was dark. And what it means is that you're burning a candle at both ends of the day. So you're getting up and it's so early that it's dark. So you get up and you light a candle, you're burning your candle at that end. And then you're awake so late that it's dark again. So you're burning the candle at the other end of the day. So you're burning the candle at both ends of the day.
With the two sides of it, when you might think you have to be awake or asleep, I feel like there is no set rules, of course, unless you have obligations in the day, of course. And when you're setting your schedule around it, there is no, I suppose, set timings for when you have to wake up. Of course, you have to get ready and everything, wake up at a certain time, but you can play around with it. There is no waking up at, I suppose, what was it? I've seen people wake up at like 4 a.m. Like, you can do that if that's what you require, but there is no go mentality necessary. I feel like as long as you are productive, effective in your day, you can wake up and go sleep whenever you want, as long as you get everything done, and as long as you're, I suppose, looking after yourself through this process. Because I think when you're in that go, I don't know why I keep saying that, mentality, you kind of forget about yourself, because you think you should be not worrying about anything. You should be very focused on this single objective. And I think what needs to be done is, what I've learned is, like, take steps, not step backs, but moments to recover. And then this can be done by, I suppose, going to sleep, like setting your schedule through that, but making sure you're not burning yourself out. Like, you have a finite amount of time in your life. Like, of course, you don't want to spend every single moment of it sleeping. We want to be going towards something, and going towards something means you yourself have to understand when you need to go to sleep, when to wake up, and not worry about, I suppose, other people's opinions on that. If that makes sense. If you wake up early, cool, you wake up early. If you wake up late, cool, you wake up late. But at the end of the day, as long as you get what you need to get done, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, because You've done what you needed to do. Like, you ticked off the boxes.
What I learned from my journey with sleep, one thing I learned is not to be obsessive about having hard, fast rules and super, super, super strict routines where everything has to be just so, because I had a period of time that was like that. And yeah, the advice online says don't go on your phone for an hour, 30 minutes before you go to sleep. I completely ignore that. I do go on it. And it's okay. So I think that even though there are these rules and these like trends and these advice and things that should be better, it's not gonna be the same for everyone. So yeah, I go on my phone and it's all right. Maybe it's not the like healthiest thing on the planet for me to be doing, but it's all right. So I'm not trying to stop myself. I'm just letting myself have that, you know?
Okay, so we have been thinking about sleeping. We've been thinking about what it means to go to sleep, what sleep means to us personally, what sleep means in terms of research. We've talked about the idea that actually the most important thing is that it is something that you understand for yourself rather than judging yourself against other people. And now let's get into our quick fire, quick tips round. So particularly for students who might be finding it difficult to sleep, people that might be or might have particular questions or issues with sleeping. What would you think about offering some quick hints or tips?
Okay, so this might be a little bit unconventional, but something that I need to do because I have I have a fast metabolism, so I have to like have like, I suppose, some fruit or like a protein shake before I go to sleep, because otherwise when I'm hungry and trying to fall asleep, it does not work at all. Like I try and go to sleep, but no, my body's like, you need to eat. So I listen to my body, I have my food, and then alongside it, when I exercise during the day, I'm very heavily focused on this point, but yeah, exercise or just move your body, something to, I suppose, tire you out a little bit, so then when you get to bed, you can just rest. You're not as alert. You're a little bit more fatigued, and you want to go to sleep because your body's saying, "I'm tired. Get to sleep."
Good tips. I think my tip would be based on kind of what we've just spoken about a little bit, which is just take the judgment out of sleeping. Don't judge yourself for when you're sleeping and when you're not. As I said, some of you might be having jobs which mean that you need to sleep at different times, and that can be really, really difficult. And a lot of the advice we've given might not be as suitable if you're someone who has a lot of pressure on when you can and can't sleep. But my advice would be take the pressure off. Don't judge yourself. Don't worry about what other people think. But also to everyone, don't reinforce those stereotypes and things. If you're someone who wakes up early or doesn't need much sleep, maybe don't like brag about that or think you're a better person for those things, because we all have a role in like reinforcing these stereotypes and these stigmas. So that's my advice.
Very nice. And jumping off the back of that, yeah, understanding that adrenaline will get you through well in the next day. It's not that it's plenty of facts, and we've spoken about them, about how much sleep you should get and how much sleep, but actually, if you don't get that, adrenaline will sort you out 100%. Like our bodies will correct that sense. Right then, folks, this was great fun. If you are listening, please do like, comment, subscribe. We'll drop into the description the links to any of the particular readings that we've been doing, and we will look forward to seeing you next week.
What Neil said, and love you guys.
Bye.
See ya. Sleep tight.
Aww.